Welcome everybody to another BattleTech video, career mode. So we've just finished a mission, so time for the repairs. We do need to make some repairs on the Vulcan. Its first mission out, it got a little bit banged up, but that's fine. We always expected first mission out. We hadn't changed anything with it, so we always knew it was going to get a little bit shot up. But at least now we have an idea of what we want to do with it. The Vulcan itself is a very mobile mech. It seems to be very good with melee shots as well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to build into that melee potential. So we're going to give it small sort of support weapons, not small weapons. We're going to give it plenty of small weapons. We're going to give it. We're going to try and find some modifiers that will give us additional benefits to melee attacks. So there are some arms, there are some leg modules that you can get from mechs. We'll see whether I get them on the store. I don't know yet. But there are some modules we can put in that will just increase the melee damage we get. So at the moment, I've only got two support weapons. We've got machine guns, we've got small lasers. Both aren't great, but you know they add a little bit of extra damage for the melees. Machine guns only really are effective. They're more effective if you've stripped the armor from the area that you're firing at, whereas small lasers are just a bit more well-rounded. So we'll probably we may look at going for those depending on what the heat situation is, because we're not really going to have a huge amount of heat sinks onto this, but we just want to cram as many small weapons as we can so that we can do as much damage as we can when we are meleeing them. So we'll probably just use all of the elements that we can slap on. So at the moment we'll put in another machine gun. We'll put the machine guns sort of in the left and right torsos. It does open us up with another little space that we've got there. I do also want to make sure that I've got enough armor on this as well, because we are going to be rushing in. And rushing in, you're going to take a few hits. So we absolutely want to make sure that we've got the armor enough to tank some stuff while we're rushing in, or as it's likely to be, while we're bravely running away after we've done our melee hit, because we're going to need to get the hell out of there. So we put the other small laser in, so effectively we're just stacking support weapons. My OCD there getting the better of me, making sure that I've got the ammo below the weapon. You don't need to. It makes no difference at all, but it makes me feel it makes me feel good. Makes me feel a lot better. So that's where we do it. So now it's just a case of seeing how much armor we can get into this without going over our max tonnage. Spoiler alert: it's going to be a lot more than I had on it. I'm doing this the slow way. Don't know why. There is a nice handy button that you can just press and it'll put max armor on it. It's been a while since I last played this as a sort of full campaign run. So if I miss certain buttons, that will be why it's been some time. Oh look, I found the buttons. There we go. There they are. But yeah, we can now pretty much fully max this on armor, make it as tanky as possible. It's going to be the most effective it can be at melee attacks. And what we can also do is we can also make this a bit more of a scout mech as well. So when we start getting to the higher tonnages, we can use this as a scout mech, because this isn't a light mech. This is a 40-ton mech. So we could effectively replace one of our light mechs in more heavier mech lineups to use this purely as a scout. Using it purely as a scout in one of those heavier engagements, probably best just to leave this not fighting. Have it just as a non-combat scanning role. Maybe come in for a bit of a rear melee attack if the opportunity arises. But that's going to be an if the opportunity arises. So we'll get that work scheduled up. We've got the same lineup. We don't have anything new just yet. We don't really have the storage for anything new. Probably pushing our luck with some of the mechs that we've got, but we will eventually we'll eventually pick up some parts. We may see what's in the store at some point, but we don't really have the credits for that, given that we still need to pay the wages, and my tendency to get pilots injured means I'm probably going to need more pilots than I've got. So we'll fit ourselves out for the next one, debating whether to use the urban mech. The urban mech's got a really good weapon providing it hits, but it is really slow. So I think because of that, we'll go for the commando. We'll give ourselves a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more mobility. We probably will lose a bit of punch, because the urban mech, like I say, the urban mech does have a really good gun. If you can hit with that, it will take out some medium mechs, depending whether you get a really good sort of lucky hit on it. You can core certain medium mechs straight away with it. Certainly you'll devastate light mechs with it. But the problem is it's just slow, so unless you've got a real good defensive position, you're not gonna get the best use out of it. But again, you only know roughly what each mission's going to be based on the description. So this one, we are taking out a fixed position, but we need to clear out the defences, and there'll be an enemy, some form of enemy lance coming in as well. So the option for light and manoeuvrable, especially given that we're leaning on that Vulcan mech at the moment, light and manoeuvrable is the key. Well, it's not the key. Light and manoeuvrable is what I'm going for.
Confirmed.
So we're going to scout out. We've got some turrets that we need to take care of. We could probably deal with some of these with the spider, even though he's only going to get sort of 1 or 2 attacks before he starts overheating. But the biome is a frozen biome. It is going to help us. But the spider's not going to do much damage. But at least we can get these in invisible range. We can bring up things like the blackjack. We can bring up... I mean, the commando's got medium lasers, so it should do a decent amount of damage. There we go. The commando just took that turret out without too much of a strain. I mean, we are still on very easy missions. This is still very early in the campaign. Oh, we've got some vehicles coming in. They're always good for... They are always good for scout vehicles. If you can get in there, get in amongst them.
On my way.
You can step on them. I've had hit and miss with vehicles. Sometimes the spider just takes a bit too much damage from being there. There we go. The blackjack just doesn't use a full alpha strike. We don't need to. We just use the lasers, get it cleared out. We want to save those long range weapons for something a bit more interesting. This is where we bring up the Vindicator. The Vindicator will be able to take out at least another one of those turrets with its PPC on its own, really, providing it hits. Get some good hits there. So that's all of the turrets taken care of that are in my immediate vicinity. We do have some more protecting the base. But I think next effort we are going to have to try and take out the vehicles. So given we've got the spider, those vehicles don't look hugely impressive. We really want to get both of them into visible range so that we can deal with them. So we're just going to bring the spider up. We're going to put him in the trees. Give him as much cover as possible because we are giving our flank to both of those vehicles. But the aim is that, well, the hope is that we clear out the vehicles with the medium mechs really quickly. Again, should be doable. It's a nice easy mission. We shouldn't have too many issues. But now we have an enemy mech on the field. It's nothing major.
Yes, Commander.
But it's an annoyance. So we'll bring the blackjack up. We'll probably ignore that enemy mech with the blackjack and commando. We'll probably just let the Vindicator deal with it. It's got enough firepower to deal with it. But I say we'll probably leave that. We'll see how this goes. Things in BattleTech change very quickly. One lucky hit, it shreds a bit of armor, goes internal. You're then up a creek without paddles, and you just need to deal with making sure that that mech sort of you keep. It's not even necessarily keeping that mech alive. You want to make sure that pilot isn't injured for the long haul.
Onward.
Especially this stage where I've got very few pilots with actual skills available to them. So we are going to see if we can kill this spider nice and easily, maybe knock it down.
Solid.
We don't, but we do some internal damage to it, so that's positive. Again, that blackjack not really having good shots on the tanks, on the ridgeline, so we can just happily put some fire down on the spider. The fact that it's a spider, it's probably going to overheat real quick, just like mine will.
Skipper.
You'll use a few alpha strikes with it, and it'll very much overheat. So at the moment I need to find the best place to put this Vindicator that I am likely to hit that spider. Because it is a light tank, it's got a lot of evasion pips, which means it's gonna be intrinsically difficult to hit. However, we'll just jump on it instead. You can't get away from it being jumped on. It is gonna damage my mech's sort of legs. It is going to give me some stability damage, but the spider has no weapons that will deal stability damage, providing it is a standard spider, and I don't believe I've looked yet, which probably not giving this enemy lance as much respect as I probably should.
Moving to position.
If it's only got medium lasers, it's not got anything that will do stability damage
It's go time.
outside of a melee hit, and it's a light versus a medium, so the likelihood of it knocking us over is slim. So now that the vehicles, the tanks have come forward, we can actually just start stamping on them. My luck with stamping on vehicles is very much hit and miss, but that's my luck anyway. So, thankfully, both the Commando and the Spider managed to get good good stampings on those vehicles, and we've got one in the middle as well. That is not a good position for the spider to be in. Thankfully, he's still in a bit of cover, but it's not an ideal position to have his back towards the enemy. Still trying to take the legs of this spider, although... So the reason why I'm trying to knock down this spider, get him injured,
What are your orders, Skipper?
is because I would like a backup spider in case mine goes pop.
Ready to rock.
And given some of the situations that I put my spider in, it is likely to go pop. There we go, we've got the left leg. It's been knocked down, the pilot will be injured.
Reporting. Critical hit.
Pilot's not out yet, but... So, up comes the spider. We haven't fully knocked him out yet. I think for most of these missions, by default, you need three injuries on a pilot in order to fully knock him out, which doing that with all parts intact is tricky regardless, because the amount of parts you get for a mech differs depending on how much you kill them. So if you core the mech, you'll only get one. There'll only be sort of one part available. If you take both their legs out, there'll be two. But if you manage to effectively knock the pilot, and we are a long way from this, if you manage to get enough accuracy on things that you can do cooled shots on the head and destroy the head, then you get the full mech as well. Or you can get the full mech, providing what we're taking into place. Looks like everybody is out to get the Vindicator at the moment. So the spider's attacking my Vindicator, plus the vehicle's attacking it. But again, that's fine. We can deal with that. We'll bring the commando over. And as you can see, I'm taking probably more structure damage than I am somewhat comfortable with, but that tends to be the way I play. I tend to rush in and get people in a bad position and then get structure damage. But we'll see how we go. Right, so we've got the leg destroyed. That mech is now out of the picture. Both legs are gone. It's not standing up again. So good news. We should get some spider parts at the end of this. So the only thing we've got to take care of is we've got one vehicle and we've got a couple of turrets to deal with.
Order acknowledged.
Which, given that we've got, actually I don't see any other turrets anymore. I think we've killed them all, so it's just a case of completing the mission objective and killing the buildings. So this one will be over in no time. This is one of those sort of BattleTech missions where it will make you kill the buildings. You know, like all these games, things like XCOM, if you've got to go hack a certain something, it will still make you hack it even if you've killed all the enemies on the map. So this is what we're doing. We're just gonna cycle through all of our mechs, do as much damage as possible, and me being me, we're going to select the biggest building that takes the most to kill it, because why do anything if you're not going to make a meal out of it and make it really difficult? Should have gone for all of the small buildings, because you only need to kill sort of a few of them. You don't need to kill every single one of them. So what I should have done was gone for all of the smallest buildings, not gone for the biggest, heaviest, baddest one there. But we do eventually take it down. And again, it will just be cycling through them. We've killed the Lance, we've killed all the defenders, all the turrets.
10-4.
So, unfortunately, this bit's the dull bit of the mission. We're just killing buildings. Now, we're gonna have some more BattleTech on the channel, so this series will continue. So, you know, let me know what type of things you like to see in these videos. I'm gonna continue on the BattleTech. Like I say, it's one of my favourite games. So
Target site
we'll
demolished.
keep this going. We'll see how far we go. Again, I'm not going to cut out anything that goes particularly badly wrong, providing that it doesn't end the run. I might do a cheeky restart on a save at that point, but providing it doesn't end the run, even if it knocks me back a little bit, that we need to rebuild the lance a little bit, you'll get to see it. Even if you just watch this and you find out what not to do in a BattleTech mission. Because I do tend to rush in, and again, rushing in works, providing you've got the mechs to do it. So we'll just keep popping away at these buildings. Pull the spider back just so that we can continue firing with him. There we go. That's enough killed, and we can get this mission done and head home. Now, we're going to be looking for those spider parts, but we will see if they've got anything interesting in the weapons department. We did get the spider and the commando a little bit damaged, but we'll take both of the spider parts. That will at least give us almost a spare spider. I can't remember whether I've got any. No, I don't. I don't have any owned already. We're at 0-3. So I can pick up a spider part relatively quickly. Certainly the tier of missions that I'm doing, like mechs a dime a dozen. So we're going to get the spider repaired first. We're going to look at what we do with the commando, because we need to repair it anyway, but this is where we might try something a little bit funky with it. Now, I'm trying this on the commando at first, because this is probably something that would work on the Vulcan as well, given the fact it is a fairly fast mech with laser hardpoints. So we've got that Coil M weapon. Now, I've never used the Coil M before, and it is a weapon that you effectively get more damage the more movement pips, more evasion pips you have. So the more you move, the better damage that will be. So if we can get that on something quick, we can effectively get the maximum movement and then get the maximum damage. But it's going to be providing I can deal with the heat. Now, I was thinking about putting it on the spider, but again, the spider doesn't deal with its heat very well, and it doesn't have enough tonnage to put enough heat sinks in it in order to dissipate that heat on any map that isn't a cold biome map. So we've had to strip away a few of the small missiles, but that's fine because that should be countered by the damage. You know, we should get a good amount of damage from that Coil M, and it will also mean that I don't need to be as close to them in order to actually hit them, because the medium laser should have a better range than the small missiles. So the question is, do I get rid of all of the small missiles and just leave it as a Coil M machine? Still umming I do want to use that coil M. Probably not the best time to do it. Again, we've got the Vulcan. We might want to put it on the Vulcan at some point. So I'm injured still. I'm going to be. Raygun's going to be injured for some time. Need to get a tactics guy up, because that sensor lock is extremely useful. If I can get someone with sensor lock, we can negate some movement pips.
I'm receiving you.
Hopefully make things a little easier to hit. So that's, we really want to get at least one guy up with sensor lock so we can shove him in the scout. We can actually start making use of it. I mean, all these initial abilities, for the most part, are pretty good. Certainly the gunnery and the tactics ones, you'll be using those sort of, you know, throughout. And those are the ones that you can actively see. But at the moment, we still have people that just aren't good enough to get them. So we are just going to have to do a few more little small missions. So we've got a training day, which, given the fact that I've got a few mechs in repair, might be a good one to go for. But there are 2 1-star missions, so we should have plenty of tonnage to deal with them. It's just a case of what timings, how long am I going to have to wait? So I think we're not going to do another trading mission. We're gonna get the Vulcan repaired. We'll probably get the Spider repaired as well.
That work order you submitted is complete.
So deal with one of our first events. We've got minor refraction. So effectively, you can deal with these in various different ways. There's normally a good outcome and a bad outcome for most of these. Generally, most of them will be morale based, so you'll either get pilots with increased morale, or you'll get decreased morale depending on what you pick. So we've got the selection we made. We've got a dependable for webcat, and we've got rebellious. That's not terrible. That could have been worse. It could have been worse. But the nice thing about these is you get a nice little bit of story about how they're all. It just gives a little bit more life to your mech pilots. The fact that, you know, they're having an argument over, you know, the last of the coffee, or, you know, I've seen a few of them previously where you end up getting a mech pilot injured and it knocks their confidence, and you have to deal with them. It just gives a little bit of life to the pilots. It's a really nice touch for it. Right, so we've got all of our mechs repaired. We don't really want to do the financial report just yet. That's going to lose me quite a chunk of my money. I mean, in theory, we can get both of these missions done before the financial report, and this training day is actually paying a lot. Looks like I am out of sick bay, so we're gonna use me and catch me up with a bit of XP. We're gonna go in the Vindicator. I mean, the Vindicator's a solid mech to start with. I know the Blackjack's alright. I've just, every time I've used the Blackjack, I played it through the campaign. Every time I got into a fight, I'd lose arms. I'd always any fight that was a little bit tough, I would come out of it needing to replace parts on it. And it just seemed very fragile. Given that the majority of its heavy hitting weapons are on the arms, as a lot of projectile weapon mechs are. Yeah, it just gets a bit of a bother when you end up. I'm not going to say outgunned, because it's not outgunned, but you end up not being able to put your full alpha strike down.
I copy.
Now the fun thing with this training day, because they've got a, there is at least an urban mech in here. The Vindicator is probably going to be faster than most, even though it is probably on the heavier side. Certainly for these sort of 4. But it will outspeed the urban mech.
Standing by.
Hopefully I get the urban mech into a position before the fight starts that I can actually shoot something with it. we will see. Like I say, every mission I've used an urban mech in, it's taken me a hell of a long time to get into the battle area. But it has at least done a good amount of damage with it.
I've got something.
Okay, so we've got an enemy contact, so we've got some mechs on the ice. Can't see them just yet, so we'll bring everybody up. They're gonna be light mechs, although there could be a medium in there at some point. So we've got a Locust. Locust missed, but does reduce our evasion, which, yeah, it's fine.
Commander?
So this is where we got to get the urban mech. Can we get it into a position that we can actually fire with it? Yes, we can. And thankfully, the urban mech, with its AC 10, has a lot of range. Boom! There we go. That's what I'm talking about with the urban mech. It can do some devastating damage. That's knocked that Locust down straight away first shot. The Locust isn't necessarily a big threat to us,
Commander?
but it's one less thing to worry about right now. Plus, we knocked it down just after it had taken its turn, which means it's gonna be knocked down. It's not going to get back up and start annoying. So that's the only way that I can really say that. And we've destroyed the right leg, so that Locust is out.
Yes, Commander.
And does mean that there are 2 Locust parts on the table. I mean, we'll take... So my rule of thumb with getting mech parts and how I'm going to do it, even if it's a mech that I do not plan to use, unless a mech comes up onto here that's one that I'm like, oh, I need that mech, I want that mech. It's never I need that mech, it's always I want that mech. Unless we get one of those crop up, I will generally, unless there are some interesting weapons, because you can get some high-powered weaponry, some plus weapons from missions. Unless there's anything else that sort of supersedes it, I will take...
Primary target is down, Commander.
Ooh, head destroyed. That was a lucky hit. So we've... so this is why I'm going through it. So generally speaking, I will prioritise mech parts that I want, even if I'm only going to get some of them. You fight enough mechs in this game that you will eventually get all of the parts in order to build it.
Move order received.
Salvaging mechs, even if you're not going to use them, even if they're light ones and they're terrible like the Locust. Yeah, even if I'm not going to use them and I don't like them, like the Locust, you can still salvage the parts and you can sell them for decent credits. Although, now we've got that fire starter, that's a full fire starter. And annoyingly,
Heading out.
I didn't choose that much salvage. I kept it even. Because these aren't normally that profitable for loot. Yeah, I've now got a full fire starter that I can pick up, and I've got 2 pieces of locust that I can pick up, and I probably have a piece of locust already in storage.
Receiving you.
So, we've got some enemy reinforcements. We could bug out. We're not going to bug out. We're going to see what those reinforcements are. They might be something good.
Confirmed.
So we're going to try to get people into position, because we know where they landed. We know where they're coming from. So if we can get people into position, that we can effectively just get a bit of a kill box.
Moving out.
Definitely want this urban mech to come forward so that we can make use of that AC-10. We are going to have to move the commando up, because it's probably... Well, it's not probably, it is our fastest mech that we've got that I don't care about getting damaged. A, because it's not mine, I don't have to pay the repair costs on this. I don't want it destroyed, because that would be problematic for the mission, but if it gets damaged, it gets damaged. So we know that thing is not a light mech, because it's going on initiative 4. Oh, it's a Shadow Hawk. We like the Shadow Hawk. We don't like it enough to actually hit our shot, though. This is what I mean. We're still really low-level pilots, so our called shot chance is still incredibly low. Getting a called shot on head at this point in time is...
Waiting for orders.
As it was on that fire starter, it is just roll of the dice, luck of the draw. I wasn't aiming, you know, I didn't do a called shot on the head for that fire starter, it was just luck of the draw that we managed to kill it. Now, the problem with wanting the Shadow Hawk, it does mean that I'm going to probably make a bit of a meal out of this. Because I'm going to try and make it fall over and get the mech injured. I could just take it out relatively easily, but it's a decent mech. We do lack decent mechs with decent firepower. So I apologise for what you are about to see, about to witness, but I am going to try and make sure that I can...
Receiving you.
I'm going to try and at least salvage as much as I can of this Shadow Hawk. Whether it works, we will see how the RNG gods favour me. Knowing my luck not well, but we will see. I mean, we are gonna try and melee this guy. We can run up that hill. And we do get a melee on the back, but as you can see, the commando's a light mech, and that's a medium mech, so we're not going to do a huge amount of damage. The fun will come if that Shadow Hawk turns around to bot my commando, because he's a lot bigger than me.
Ready for orders.
And as for dubious cause, I didn't move the commando, I just left him there to melee him. And we missed with the urban mech. Good job, urban mech. You did. You can go back to sleep now.
Engaging target.
I know I am using these ballistic weapons wrong, and I shouldn't be using them every turn, but the urban mech does not have any other weapons. And I do like to try and at least put down some consistent fire. Although thankfully for the commando, the Shadow Hawk seems to be targeting my Vindicator, which in theory it is the bigger threat to it. problem with doing that is if you ignore something that you think because it's not a threat, you end up just
I'm receiving
getting
you.
killed by the thing you didn't think was a threat, because it can just get behind you, it can get those cheeky shots off.
Roger. Affirmative. I missed. Ready for orders.
Still not doing great at the moment. The other mech's still not hitting anything. We do have the consecutive fire penalties. We are just going to be a bit of a fool and just keep trying to punch this Shadowhawk in a very inappropriate area. But it's fine. If the Shadowhawk doesn't attack it, we're golden. I think at this point I'm not convinced that we're gonna be able to salvage a lot of the Shadowhawk. But again, if we can get if we can get one part for it, we'll get more elsewhere. I mean, that Shadowhawk does look drunk. It's very unstable. But again, the only things that I've got that do stability damage is either melee attacks. I mean, ballistic weapons do a bit of stability damage, but they're nowhere near as good as missiles. There we go. So we get the commando to get the short-range missiles in play. We'll get him knocked over. That is the first head injury. And the good thing about it being on its ass is we can get cooled shots on it. Although cooled shots on the leg, probably not the smartest idea, because it's going to get up regardless and we're going to lose a knockdown for it.
That's a kill.
Mission successful.
Okay, time to divvy up the loot. So we got both objectives done. No one injured. Happy days. Vindicator didn't take anything to be repaired. And this is where the fun begins, because I can only select 2. So we've got 2 bits of Phoenix Hawk. We've got 3 bits of Firestarter. And we've got 2 bits of Locust. I can only lock in 2 of them. So the question is, do I lock in 2 of the Firestarters and then hope I get the additional Firestarter roll piece as a random roll? Because I will get sort of... I can only lock in 2, so I think we're going to go for that. And we got lucky. We got a full Firestarter out of that. We didn't get any Phoenix Hawk though. But again, that Firestarter can be sold. And that Firestarter could also probably take the place of the Urban Mech or my Commando. Because the Firestarter is again another one of those decent melee mechs. Especially when you put a load of flamethrowers on it, you just build the heat. You effectively just do... It's a bit like doing a damage over time build. If you can build up enough heat quickly enough, you can effectively just shut their mech down and they just take some ticking structure damage. So now we've got a nice fresh and clean Firestarter. Does not have any weapons because when you salvage them, you don't get any weapons for them. So we can now do whatever we want to this. Now the question is, do I have enough flamers to actually make this hugely useful? Ideally, I'd like 2 flamers on there, but I think I'm only going to be able to get one on it initially. Because if we can get 2 flamers on there, we're more likely to be able to overheat mechs, especially in some of those warmer biomes. There's none in the store, which is it's fine. We can tweak this later. Swapping out weapon is fairly quick. Ooh, you're gonna go for the Coil M on this. That might be an interesting thing to do. This might work because the Firestar is also quite mobile. So again, rather than give it to the Commando, we could give it to the Firestar, have it mobile. Then the only other thing that we need to have on there are things like flamers, which are extremely short support weapons. This might be an interesting thing. At least until I get more flamers and I can sort of fully build out the shutdown build for it. Give it another medium laser just to give it a little bit more mid-range firepower. Give it some jump jets to allow for some maneuverability. We've only got one heatsink though, that's going to be a problem. We're probably going to need to get, need to get some more heatsinks.
New equipment available.
I'm going to be honest, I normally expect to get a lot more heatsinks from just random salvage. I mean, the heat efficiency on this isn't great, but it should give us enough to test it with. Plus, we've still got 2 tons to play with to give it a bit of extra armour. And I found the button now, so that's a lot quicker. So I think we'll do this for the Firestar. We'll try that Coil M. We'll put the Commando in storage. I think it's the only fully built mech that we've got in storage for now. But we'll just check our upgrades, and then I think we'll call the episode to an end there. So thank you all for watching. Join you in the next one. Remember, if you like this video, like and subscribe and all of that jazz. But thank you for watching, and hope you all have a great rest of your day.